So for our final segment, I want to move it over to look ahead, right, and look about the new commitments to action. This segment will be brought to you by Cindy Jordan, CEO of Pyx Health, to share about their immensely important work in addition to some personal reflections. And then Cindy will be introducing this year's new collection of commitments to action, which are pledges made to address social isolation and loneliness and are really the crux of why we are all here today. So Cindy, thank you so much for being here today, and I will turn it over to you.
Thanks for having me. I'll be relatively brief, but before I get going, I sort of wanted to congratulate Cecil on a few, as we're sort of retrospectively looking back at the new year, and we're going to roll in the new commitments for the year to come. There's been some major accomplishments on behalf of Cecil, and these are in no particular order, but the first being the Elder Justice Reauthorization and Modernization Act of 2021, which included $250 million in funding to address social isolation and loneliness. And Cecil played an instrumental role in getting that, getting that through. Also, their work with the Gravity Project, where they were heavily influenced in getting an ICD-10 and other billing codes developed for the first time. And for me personally at Pyx, and we're going to talk about this, I believe that billing codes are a way for loneliness and social isolation to actually be taken seriously by the healthcare industry. And finally, they were a founding member, and they are the current co-chair of the Global Initiative on Loneliness and Connection. And that's an international organization committed to ending the pressing global issues of loneliness and social isolation. So congratulations, Cecil. You all are the shining example of keeping your commitments and having a lot of progress to help our common goal of ending loneliness and social isolation. So I'm Cindy Jordan. I am the co-founder and CEO of Pyx Health. We've been a member of Cecil since 2020. And for those of you on the phone that might not know us, what we do is we solve for loneliness and social isolation, particularly focused on vulnerable populations. So think about Medicaid and Medicare Advantage. So I don't know if a lot of you know how the company got started, but I brought a very short video to show you how we started.
Hi, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Anne.
And we're the co-founders of Pyx Health. And we're here today to tell you why we started the company. This is actually our second healthcare IT startup company. And after we sold the first one, I didn't think we would do another one.
No, I thought we would be kind of out on a boat having fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But then in 2017, our daughter Riley had a terrible year. She was diagnosed with bipolar, was in and out of the hospital, and ultimately ended up in a facility.
And when we sat down with her after we got through it as a family and asked her what we were missing, like what comes first, she said before things go bad, she starts to feel profoundly lonely. So we started researching loneliness. Very little is being done in the US within the healthcare industry. Even though loneliness is one of the top 3 symptoms in deadly conditions like alcoholism, bipolar, depression, and many others, we believe you need to identify and treat loneliness as a chronic condition. If you Google how to solve loneliness, it will tell you it can be solved with a 10-minute phone call or by getting active. That is not the case. Chronic loneliness needs to have a scientific, thoughtful-based approach.
Loneliness is not about how many people are around you. It is the feeling that you are alone and no one else can understand the burden that you are carrying. And that is how Riley felt.
This summer, Riley lost her struggle with mental health issues, and it has altered our family forever. One of the last texts she ever sent to anybody in this world, she said how lonely she felt. It makes the mission of Pyx even more profound to the two of us.
If we can help one family, one person to not struggle, then Riley's legacy will live on.
So, actually that's relatively new. This is probably the first audience that we've shown that to. So sorry for stumbling through this a little bit, but as you can see here at Pyx, this is not just our company, and we're not out there. This is very personal to us. We're very mission driven. we believe that loneliness was a major contributor in the loss of our daughter. And so we want to do all the things as we can as a company, but also as individuals. So let me just show you super quickly how it works. Lonely people utilize healthcare differently. That is a fact. When people are lonely, they are often seeking services in the wrong places, overutilizing, etc. Finding them and helping them is the hard part. And I think that all of us on the phone can talk, understand how difficult that is. So what we do at Pyx is we generally partner with payers, and we take their data and we have what's called a loneliness index. And it's a proprietary algorithm that can search through their members and find the chronically and intermittently lonely. So that's half the battle. Once you find them, then what do you do? So our solution, and I loved the panel that I popped in on at the end right before this, is really to use a technology and a human intervention. I call it the peanut butter and chocolate. You need technology because you need a scalable solution that goes beyond, what humans can do. And for us, our technology, which looks nothing or acts nothing like a social media platform, has a very empathetic, super funny chatbot that never treats the end user like a disease state or a diagnosis. He acts like a friend in a coffee shop. And what happens is people start to trust him as they're using it. And for those of you that are thinking, oh, who would use this? Our average, we have people on the platform from age 18 to 104, and our average user is 54 years old and male. So anyway, as Pyxer starts to develop a profile around the user, or we find out that someone has an urgent social determinants of health need, we have a whole group of people in our compassionate care center who we call our Andes, and that stands for authentic, nurturing, dependable, your friend, and Andy intervenes. You can go to the next slide. So there is a difference when Andy gets involved between intermittently lonely and chronically lonely and isolated people. And so when we find that someone, and we use evidence-based screenings like the UCLA3, we also screen for depression and anxiety, but when we find someone's in trouble, we'll actually enroll them in our Pyx Thrive pathway. And the reason I decided to bring this up is because we didn't have this last year when we joined the coalition, and it's relatively revolutionary. It's based in positive psychology. It's what I'm going to call loosely a real treatment for loneliness. So what happens is when we find the chronically lonely individual, we'll enroll them in this 8-week program, and they will have regular interventions with the Andy. And then there's lots of things inside the platform that we ask them to do. So it's relatively new. We just launched it 3 months ago, but here's the big news: 86% better than average improvements on loneliness for users that completed Thrive. So we are super encouraged and are studying this to think, gosh, this really might be an answer for when people are in that chronic state where their body is in that fight or flight and they can't engage in other services. You can go on to the next slide. This is just a visual of some of the cool stuff that goes on inside the platform with Thrive. I'll just call out one thing because it's kind of my favorite, but we're launching, and this all starts on November 15th, what's called Pyx Pets. It's been scientifically proven that taking care of a virtual pet can actually improve loneliness rather significantly. And so there's that and all different kinds of things that goes on inside of there. But you can see here, we have a very simple, super friendly, very vibrant user interface. And I think this keeps people, engaged. You can go on to the next. So where is Pyx and how are we doing? And please don't take this as self-congratulatory. I'm just trying to show here that this is a message that is resonating with payers and with people, and that over the last year, we've entered into 20 markets. Our average day on platform is over 100 days. And for those of you on the phone, that is actually better than Weight Watchers. We have seen a 74% improvement in loneliness, again, using evidence-based screenings to determine these improvements. And for our payer partners, a 57% reduction in inpatient and ED utilization. What's the message that I'm trying to convey? It is that it works. When we actually identify and treat and loneliness, we can improve people's health, and in the case of Riley, potentially even save lives. So that's all I've got on Pyx. I want to introduce all of you to this year's new commitments to action.
Never Tech Late was founded in 2019 by New York-based executive Florence Mauchon. It is supported by a 6-person advisory board and a small, dedicated team. Never Tech Late delivers remote digital instruction to older adults by teaching how to use a tablet, how to communicate with friends and family online via tools such as Zoom, and how to stay safe online. We promote social engagement and lifelong learning through a heavily researched program and curriculum that was developed in conjunction with the instructional design experts at the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. This curriculum consists of 8 one-hour lessons that are delivered over an 8-week period. They are delivered by Never Tech Late coaches who have undergone 15 hours of training in order to be fully prepared to deliver this instruction. The Never Tech Late team also developed a train-the-trainer platform and program through which future coaches can learn the art and methods of teaching older adults technology. Why do we do this? Because one, as research has repeatedly shown, a decrease in loneliness and social isolation can lead to a decrease in instances of cardiac and neurological illnesses. 2, lifelong learning and engagement promote independence and a healthy aging in place. And 3, the ever-growing digital gap risks creating even more inequalities across the age spectrum, especially during this current COVID-19 era. The best way to reduce this digital divide is to empower older adults to master such tools as Zoom and the tablet, and many others. Our programs are rooted in listening to our users, qualitatively, by conducting focus interviews, for example, and quantitatively, by conducting pre- and post surveys. Never Tech Late is very honored to join CECIL in 2021. We are delighted to be a part of this very important network of organizations that fights every day to end social isolation and loneliness. With this in mind, we are pleased to submit an ambitious commitment to action to this year's annual action form. Number 1, Never Tech Late pledges to teach at least 100 new adults how to use a tablet and master Zoom. We will do this through at least 2 of the 5 channels that we have targeted, including older adult residential organizations, low-income communities, community colleges, veterans associations, and area agencies on aging. We pledge to also certify 12 coaches through the Never Tech Late Train-the-Trainer program. Third, we commit to launching at least 1 additional module, such as using a tablet to support health and wellness, email and technology troubleshooting tips, and building a music library. We aim to finish out the year 2022 by creating a video with our graduated students where smiles and technology expertise abound. Never Tech Late intends to meet these goals by continuing outreach efforts to, for example, older adult residential organizations that have a demonstrated need for older adult technology education. We also intend to continue conducting high-level conversations with various key stakeholders. And we intend to continue identifying potential corporate and government agency partners. Again, Never Tech Late is very honored to join CECIL and, of course, the Foundation for Social Connection Networks. These represent a critical source of support as we aim to meet the above goals. Thank you for your attention. We look forward to meeting you either in person or virtually.
Hi, everyone. It's Laura Telmes. I am the executive director and co-founder of a great organization called Beyond Differences. We are based in the San Francisco Bay Area. We're a national organization, and we are almost 12 years old. We partner with schools all over the United States. 8,500 schools at this point use our social and emotional learning curriculum, our student leadership activities, and we now provide professional development for teachers. I'm honored to be invited back again to give you our goal for this year, our call to action for the second annual Action Forum hosted by and organized by the Coalition to End Social Isolation and Loneliness. I'm a huge fan of the organization, and we look to partner with them all the time. So my personal goal is to make sure that every child goes to school every day feeling accepted, valued, respected, and included by their peers, no matter what their difference is. Social isolation is something that we should all be very worried about, especially as we come out and ease out of the pandemic. The incidence of social isolation and children's self-esteem from being disconnected is at an all-time high, and we've got to remedy that, and the children themselves are the answer. So let's give them the tools, the training, the inspiration, and the power, and they will take care of making sure that their classmates feel accepted, respected, included, and valued every day in school. Thank you so much. Have fun at the forum.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Micton. I work for the World Health Organization. I'm a technical officer in the Demographic Change and Healthy Aging Unit. And we at WHO are making a commitment to action in the following areas. What we intend to do is implement the strategy we've published in a recent advocacy brief. And this strategy is made up of 3 components. The first one is to contribute to the creation of a global coalition to increase the political priority of social isolation and loneliness. The second component of this strategy is to improve research and strengthen the evidence for effective interventions to address social isolation and loneliness. And the third component of this strategy is to start implementing and scaling up effective interventions around the world, including in low and middle income countries, to reduce social isolation and loneliness. And we intend to do this over the next decade or so within WHO's and other UN agencies' decade of healthy aging.
The Motion Picture and Television Fund pledges to continue our support of our partners across the country to amplify efforts to reduce social isolation and loneliness. MPTF will continue to offer our Social Call training program free of charge to any organization that would like to launch or expand a social call program of their own. To date, we've trained 150 organizations in 30 states. By the end of 2023, we'd like to make that all 50 states, ultimately engaging thousands of high-risk older adults. The Southern California and Los Angeles Social Isolation Impact Coalition will continue to grow, and will expand our efforts to share best practices, up-to-date research, and we will continue encouraging the data collection of all programs. We will also stay involved with the National Coalition to End Social Isolation and Loneliness to advocate for policy changes to improve social connectivity for anyone.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Morrison, Eventbrite's Vice President of Policy and Platform Operations. At Eventbrite, our mission is to bring the world together through live experience. We firmly believe in the power of gathering, and that social connection is critical to a thriving society. And we are uniquely positioned to bring awareness to the pervasiveness of social isolation and the ailments it causes. Over the next 3 years, we are committed to amplifying the power of connection and combating social isolation. Specifically, Eventbrite's commitments include raising awareness about the issue of social isolation and the power of connection, reducing the stigma associated with social isolation, and elevating the physical and mental health effects of social isolation as a public health issue. Today, Eventbrite commits to partnering with CSIL, the Foundation for Social Connection, and other experts in the field. At Eventbrite, we bring the world together, and we believe in the power of social connection as a remedy to the ailments caused by social isolation. We're excited to get to work and join each of you on this journey.
Hello, I'm Annette Fellows, Vice President of Health Products and Services at United Healthcare, and I lead the Healthcare Transformation Team. At United Healthcare, we have the honor of serving 1 in 5 Medicare beneficiaries and understand that 80% of what impacts a person's health happens outside of the doctor's office, like with housing and food and social isolation, to name a few. Through a deep understanding of those we serve and with the goal of helping people lead healthier lives, we continue to elevate the topics of social isolation as well as loneliness by focusing on a new lever of improved health called, or what we call, personal determinants of health. Factors that build individuals' resilience to withstand life's challenges. Factors like purpose and possibilities, which includes optimism. Like people, which includes social connection and a focus on loneliness. Through research and partnership with organizations on the front line, we have learned much about the importance of caring for the whole person, and driving awareness around all the dimensions of health ultimately leads to better health outcomes and experiences with care. So we commit to continue to apply and expand on these learnings through research, segmentation and targeting, interventions, and programs for our members in 2022. Thank you to all of you for keeping these important topics of social isolation and loneliness on the forefront.
Hi, everyone. What fantastic momentum we can look forward to in the year ahead. A personal thank you to Cindy Jordan from Pyx Health for her leadership, friendship, and vulnerability in that last segment, and to all of the organizations that made commitments for the year ahead. And in rounding out the commitments to action, the Coalition and the Foundation will also seek to double down on our own commitments and continue to contribute to the evidence base in the year ahead. Together with our Scientific Advisory Council and input from all of you, we are committed to developing and advocating broad uptake of the social connection systemic framework. As you heard yesterday, this framework dials in on the intersections between the socio-ecological models, levels of impact, diverse sectors, and across the lifespan to identify existing best practices and gaps in research and evaluated approaches. Additionally, as you heard from Risa Wilkerson from Healthy Places by Design, we will begin a partnership with them to support a broader social connections learning and action network in the year ahead. This marriage of efforts will bridge our team's work in communications, policy, innovation, and research with Healthy Places by Design's work to support community-level systems change and philanthropic leadership in this space. The ability to have cross-cutting learnings translated across various focal areas is of vital importance in closing gaps in social connection and well-being. We look forward to updating you all on our progress as we work towards a holistic and systemic approach to address social connectedness. Now I'll turn it over to my partner, Andrew McPherson, to join me in some closing remarks on this second action forum. Andrew.
Well, Eddie, I'm just overwhelmed. It goes without saying that this has been an absolutely tremendous 2 days. I first want to thank all of our speakers, from the US Surgeon General to leading academic voices to grassroots and community-based organizations, global colleagues and leaders, from young Americans and older adults to members of the House of Representatives and the US Senate and even the Biden administration. Boy, we heard from just an extraordinary array of change makers from across the country and across the world. I also want to thank our extraordinary team at the Foundation and at the Coalition: Jillian Rakusin, Meg Wallace, Connor Beauregard, Rachel Jordan, Matt Itzkowitz, and of course my incredible co-director, Eddie. Isn't he the best? Thank you all so very much for your tireless work in developing and leading this event. We're also very, very grateful for the support of the team at Meals on Wheels America, who are instrumental in producing our action forum over the past 2 days. Thank you. And to our steering committee members, who are instrumental in leading and supporting our work throughout the year. But finally, we want to thank you, our attendees and change makers from across the country and across the world. I hope you're leaving our 2021 Action Forum feeling inspired, feeling informed, feeling engaged, and yes, ready for continued action to address the national crisis of social isolation and loneliness. Look, the statistics, as we know, speak for themselves. It is indeed a crisis of mammoth proportion. But these past 2 days have reminded us over and over how much reason we have to be optimistic about how far we've come in addressing the crisis, not just in this country, but globally, and how much opportunity we have moving into the future. We will only realize this potential if we continue to connect, to collaborate, and to lead a movement, leveraging all of our voices to ensure we leave no one behind in this country and well beyond. So thank you very much for participating with us these past 2 days. We invite you to join us next year for our 2022 Action Forum, which will take place October 11th and 12th. We wish you all the best. We wish you well and look forward to our continued work together. Thank you so much.